Hi guys, it's me again, your boy, and welcome back to my channel to talk about the most anticipated game, Ragnarok Online 3, which I think we still have a long way to go waiting for the game to be truly released and available for everyone at this point. So yeah, I hope you guys are still hyping and keep the excitement until the day comes. So, as you guys click the thumbnail, you guys can tell that today we will talk about my compiled notes from the RO3 Pioneer World Exclusive Jakarta Q&A with the Ragnarok Online 3 director, you. To be honest with you guys, do not take everything, truly everything about any information that you guys will hear, be it from this video or any other YouTubers outside there, within face value. Since everything is still in limbo right now, anything can happen between today and the release day. Let me put this first as disclaimer before we going into the content. So yeah, as you guys know me, I'm always siding with you guys as a player, not presenting this information as a KOL or whatever. I'm going to talk each points that I heard from the offline event from my point of view and try to actually not 100% taking all of the given information within its face value, since I know how the game industry usually works. And I know that by the end of the day, there are a lot of things that needs to be reconsidered and not implemented as the original idea as the time goes. Okay, let's firstly talk about the elephant in the room. Would there be a combat power or battle power system or not? I know that this is one of the most frequently asked questions to the developer, and there are many people out there that think that this is a deal breaker for a game, which I can't relate to be honest. But before you decide to flame me by saying that CP doesn't really matter, please hear for what I'm about to say. For me, CP is just an easy way or a representation number on how invested a character is, which in some game could be translated by quite a lot in the output between two characters of the same CP tier. In any case that I know of, CP or combat power would not be the variable that is used to be included for damage calculation or whatever, it's just a number. For RO itself, CP could be affected by a lot of things, be it total status point, refined tier, level, card tier being equipped, verse, and much more, which all of those variables really just have their own weight in contributing the combat power as a output number, which again doesn't really mean a thing in the damage formula or whatever. It's just a caste or tier representation of a character, if you will. So my point is, be there or not a combat power system in the game, it doesn't really translate it to whether a game is a pay-to-win game or not. That's just the way it is. If some RO3 doesn't really implement this so-called combat power system, but still putting a lot of growth progression that is behind a paywall, it's still going to be a very pay-to-win game even without a CP. That's my point towards CP, so I could really care less about whether it's going to be implemented or not, and I think you should too. So, back to the developer Q&A, the answer to this question, whether there will be a combat power system implemented or not, the answer is, it depends. If there are a lot of people that feel negative towards the existence of the system, we could also not implement it. Well, if you're one of the people that really think that CP is just a thorn in the game existence, you can feel rejoice. As I've heard from the other source, at least the current CBT phase, there will be no combat power or similar system implemented. So yeah, it could be something that is removed from the game, but again, I still stand on my point that it would not really change much towards the fairness of the game between whales and non-whales. Next, we're going to talk about the grinding system. Will there be an unlimited grinding system in the game? And the answer is yes, we will allow players to actually grind endlessly in the game, but there will be a system implemented to actually prevent the grow progression for a player that is able to play online 24/7 compared to a player that can only play for like 1 or 2 hours a day. We don't want that big gap between those players. So we will create some kind of system that will have some period of time to, let's say, have 10x EXP points per day, and the rest is just very negligible. There are a lot of considerations regarding this as well, but for now we will allow player to experience unlimited grinding. But well, to be honest, the real progression of player should still be something from the limited access instance dungeons and not from the unlimited grinding. I really don't have anything to comment on this. The decision of this unlimited grinding could have a lot of pros and cons, but yeah, I think it's like too early to comment on, since I just believe that they will have some kind of daily stamina kind of things to let majority of the players are still within the same level of progression. And for me, I think it's still going to make more sense to actually just spend the stamina points daily and, like they say, just focus on the growth progression from the limited instance dungeons, as I believe the drops from the so-called unlimited grinding should not be really that worth to do if we're seeing every other stamina-based game as reference. Let's see. Next, how about the MVPs in this iteration of Ragnarok? We will have some alterations on the MVP system, and the MVPs, as in the monsters themselves. Old MVP obviously will be there in the game, but there will be many adjustments in the new game. We will still have the old classic MVP characteristic as our base reference, but of course expect additional skills from them. Do not expect them to be one-to-one in comparison for the original RO. We realized that even though we want players to have nostalgia, reminiscing the classic Ragnarok in our new game, we know that nostalgia alone won't be enough. We need innovation. Well, that doesn't really answer the question, does it? For me, this is just a diplomatic kind of answer, but still, I respect the last statement that nostalgia alone definitely won't be enough. I also heard many times from the community myself that they often feel disappointed that many of iterations of Ragnarok games just exist selling that nostalgia magic and nothing else. So yeah, let's just hope that this time the developer really put their effort into their words. Would there be a damage formula or similar things to be publicly shared from the developer to the players or not? The answer is no, we will not share the damage formula publicly, but expect all of the things to be much simpler than before. Before, even our team internally have headache and difficulty to really understand the formula code. So again, the answer is there will be no formula given to public, but expect everything to be a lot simpler. Okay, for me, this is still something that I really prefer, that game developers, especially MMO, could be more transparent towards the player. It's especially when there are money spent involved. We obviously want the best bang for our bucks. No debate, it's not even funny to spend on things just to find out that it's actually a shitty thing for our character progression. I really hope that there would be people, content creator, whatever, out there later can passionately do many kind of tests and experiments and share their finding to us fellow players. So yeah, honestly, this is kind of sucks personally. Okay, before we're going on with the next content, I just want to ask for you guys a favor. Like, I don't really usually ask for subs, but if you really like to see RO3 content in the future from me in this channel, subscribing to this channel now would be a good time. As you can see, the channel doesn't really have much subscribers or anything compared to other KOL YouTube channels. And I can say that I'm actually not a KOL at all. I'm just a player like you guys, not a celebrity or Instagram influencer or anything. Just a normal player that is passionate about Ragnarok. They invited me to talk towards the developers a couple times and let me dig some info and useful things to share towards the community. But I'm just afraid that when they finally realize that I'm not a famous person at all, they will just kick me out of the insider program. So in order for me to continually stay as an imposter among other KOLs, help me out by subscribing to this channel so they will be less sus about me and stay blended in to gather more insider info regarding RO3. Okay, back to the topic. So the next topic is seasonal reset! Okay, this is like bold statement, but let's hear it out. We want to make a system where players that has long been hiatus can safely come back and not that behind towards players that are still active. Be it like 5 or 8 seasons hiatus, we want to make sure it's not a scary thing for them to actually catch up with the others. Wow, this is really something that can be both good and bad at the same time. For me, this is obviously a good thing for people that want to be hiatus for a while, be busy in their real life for, for various reasons, and yet be able to back competing with others when their new seasons come. But again, how would you feel for someone that is religiously play the game all day and spend resources here and there, and yet someone else can catch up to you in the next season reset? I would say that would feel sucks. But then again, this is like a bold statement, and we need to see how it's going to be implemented and how would they keep the balance between those type of players. Seeing how Rue currently is, I think they will just implement the same mechanism for Nightmare Temple in Rue, where we can get the latest season equipments that will usually make the previous season equipments obsolete. Not forget to mention about the seasonal growth stats that will reset and needs to be filled again when the next season comes. But then again, in Rue, this is like just a percentage from all the other progression of a character. The system exists in Rue, but as we all know, it's not really that helpful for returning players since they're basically behind in every aspect compared to the active players. Then again, they're also the other side of thinking that, how about the players that have spent real money on this season? Would it be suck to spend money and lost that progression on next season? Well, they just answer it like this: we will try to make the paid aspect to be not that easily resetted obsolete on the next season. There are obviously a number of things that has longer lifespan surviving between seasons, and we plan that the free-to-play aspect that is resetted when the season ends. Okay, I don't know how to feel about this. Let's just hope that what they meant is just really just the seasonal growth progression stats, just like the existing RO's Nightmare Temple goes. They also said that things like cards would have a longer lifespan period to be relevant between season changes. One season would only last for 2 to 3 months interval, and expect that every season will push the player to adapt because they will intentionally rotate what build for equips and skills would the next meta be on the next season. Next topic is Refinement System. Will they experience equip loss when experiencing a fail refinement attempt? Of course there would be a question for this. Well, here's our answer. We honestly still not decide yet. Equip loss or not both has its own pros and cons. Obviously, players that is experiencing equip loss when experiencing the fail refine would feel very sad and not rarely just quit the game when that happens. Of course, we know that aspect as well. But then again, if we decide to actually make it very safe for people to do refinement, the high refinement level will not be so special anymore in the future because everyone has match refinement level at that point. The good thing about making equip loss on failing is when someone has reached a refinement level, the satisfaction towards the achievement would feel very true. Imagine if you as the player would be the only one that has the plus 15 of a legendary equipment. Okay, the last topic that I want to highlight is vending, auction, and RMT aspects of the game. As we can see from the trailer, one of the aspects where we old people feel nostalgic about is seeing how they highlighted the vending system in the trailer. We all saw that in the trailer and hyped about it. But then again, when I happened to have tried the game yesterday, I also found a menu where the auction still exists in the game. So what gives? What are the differences between vending and auction? They said that vending is the classic way of Ragnarok to take up a spot and sells your stuffs, and the buyer has to find your store in order to buy the stuffs. Meanwhile, the auction is like the mall. Well, yeah, that part is obvious, but when I asked for more detail, if I remember correctly, Director Yu said that some items would be available to be put on vending, but some items are not. So with this statement alone, what I really think of that it could be the grinding materials only that primarily are able to be put freely on vending. Why? Because of resource pooling. I instantly think that there would be many players that will try to just create mini accounts just to resource pooling their grind drops to their main account by just selling stuffs as low as possible somewhere hidden so their main account can get the stuff for very low cost. Yeah, so it makes sense that they'll limit on what are the things that are tradable freely outside of auction. I think this could be a good thing. But then again, with the combination of unlimited grinding and vending, they also address their concerns towards the possibility of account farming and botting. They address that this is concerning them a lot when they decide to take ideas about trading and vending because this group of players would always exist in the game. So they said something about social credit points that they will implement to battle botting. They will try to implement some algorithms from the combinations of social aspects like guild, player interactions, trade history, whether the character is always selling and never buying, and many other things to actually get the credit points. That way they can set up an average threshold to determine a model to help them differentiate between real players and bots. interesting, but I think it's not going to be that easy. I can already see many potential problems with this. Then again, let's see how it goes later. Finally, surprise, surprise, when there were another follow-up question about RMT. Director, you spilled his idea about RMT. They were planning to actually facilitate a trade themselves. What the F? I actually shocked when I heard about this live. I would never guess that an MMO game make their in-house function to facilitate players to do RMT. How many of you feel scared when trying to do transactions like buying or selling something with real money in a game community? This by itself could really solve that problem entirely with, well, of course I think they will implement tax for this feature, but I already can see how players could be utilizing this if they can make it as a first-party feature. We can see that there are also a lot of challenges introduced by this idea, like the legality of RMT in video game could be varied between countries. Like Indonesia, we believe it's somewhat legal and no law is currently prohibited this. On the other hand, there are other countries like China where RMT in-game is actually still allowed but governed really strictly. Finally, and there are countries like Japan where RMT is strictly prohibited. So yeah, it could be a good idea, but they also don't really know whether it can really put this idea to life. Fingers crossed. Okay, that's it. To be honest with you guys, I have a lot of conflicting thoughts towards the point, but everything is still just an ideation. And seeing the current state of the game, I can see that we are still very far away from the release day, and everything can change. I won't be surprised if there are a lot of things that mentioned in this video is somehow scrapped or changed in the future. So yeah, take everything you hear with a grain of salt. One last time, if you'd like to see more updates regarding Round 3 development, this is the good time to subscribe to the channel so you won't be left behind. Okay, Wolf signing out, and see you on the next video.